What up, everyone? This is Marcus from Dynasty Football Dads, and if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. We're trying to do daily content. We'll be also doing some giveaways. I forgot to grab my Shaq card, but we're doing a Shaq rookie card from his classic. He's dressed up as an LSU jersey. So if you want a chance at that card, please just comment below a number between 1 and 1,000, and the closest one, we'll give it away here at the end of January. So we're doing our top 5 running backs as of 2021. So this is not just rookies, but everyone. And of course, number 1 on the list is fairly easy. And these are ages at the start of next season. So I know that Christian McCaffrey has not turned 25 yet, but he will be 25.3 years old. And it's pretty simple of why he is the number 1 fantasy running back, at least dynasty-wise still. Being 25, he means he has a couple years at least of really good productivity. And he has a position rank of 3, 1, and 51 last year, but he was number 1 in points per game. He scored 6 touchdowns. He had 374 total yards from scrimmage in 3 games. So really almost 125 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's a beast. He is absolutely amazing. And this doesn't matter if you're in standard, half point, or full point. He is the number 1 running back. And so these running backs are pretty much all in the same order, depending, no matter what the categories of standard, half, or full. So Christian McCaffrey, easy my number 1. I don't think it's really even an argument at this point. If he was 27, 28, maybe, but he's my number 1. Number 2, as you see, I am a Vikings fan, but I've gotten to see this guy play every single game, and I've got to watch in-depth tape of him and how much they use him. And my number 2 is Dalvin Cook. He'll be 26.1 years old at the start of next season, and his yards of scrimmage are 1654 and 1918, but that was in 14 games for each of the season. And his biggest knock, and why he's probably not closer up into that Christian McCaffrey range, is because he just gets hurt. He gets hurt way too much with his hamstrings. I mean, they just give him a ton of touches. So he's had more than 300. You can do the math. Divide that by 14. That's over, I think it's over 25. Maybe my math sucks. Whatever. That's a lot of touches per game, but 300 touches in the last 2 seasons, and that being 14 games per season. Now, if you want to look at scrimmage yards, 1654 to 1918, Christian McCaffrey had 1,086 his second year, and then he had 2392. So he had just an amazing season his third year, and then of course 374 in 3 games. My number 3 running back is the man who killed the Vikings for 6 touchdowns last year. He's going to be 26.2 years old, so you can kind of see that all these running backs are in the same age. And an amazing stat that I think of Alvin Kamara, Super Mario as they call him, is he's had 80 receptions in every single season he's played, the last 4 years, which is incredible to think of how much of a baseline that is, especially in PPR. You're talking 5, 6 points just automatically on average per game just from catching the ball, which, I mean, Dalvin Cook has a good receiving baseline as well, and that's why I put Dalvin Cook slightly ahead of him. Also, the biggest question for Alvin Kamara is who's going to be their quarterback. Is it going to be Taysom Hill? Is it going to be Jameis Winston? Probably not. Is it going to be somebody else that we don't know? And you can see that there was a dip-off from production when Taysom Hill took over at quarterback. And so what will happen? That's going to be the biggest key in trying to figure out what Alvin Kamara, and just that little bit more risk. We know that Kirk Cousins is going to be a Viking, and we know they're going to use him into the ground for the next couple of years. So that's why, if we look at Cook and Kamara, they're so close, but I would put Cook slightly over Kamara until at least we figure out the quarterback situation. And so Kamara's had 13, 18, 6, and 21 touchdowns each of his 4 years. Yes, he had a bad 2019 with only 6 touchdowns, but the other times he's using the red zone. He's used a ton. Sean Payton loves to put him in at the 1-2 yard line. I see that because a lot of times I'm against Kamara at that point, and I was against him when he had the 6 touchdowns. A little bitter about it, but it happens. And he's at 1,500 scrimmage yards, so a good flat baseline, almost 100 yards per game, 3 of the 4 seasons. So you're talking probably a minimum of a touchdown a game and 100 yards a game. I mean, who can't go wrong? Him and Cook are great 2-3 options there. This is where we start dipping down a little bit. And so my number 4 it's a tough one, but it's going to be Saquon Barkley. Part of it is he's 24 and a half years old. And if you look at his scrimmage yards He has almost 3,500 yards. He's 34.69 in 29 games. So incredible scrimmage yards per game. He has a TD limited upside, and that's going to be his biggest thing. He's not going to score touchdowns like Kamara, and he's not going to score touchdowns like Cook. And I think the reason for that is the Giants are not as good of a team. And we kind of know that the Giants are still trying to figure themselves out. Daniel Jones is maybe the future, maybe not. Still, the book is stalled on him. So 22 touches a game, though. He gets used a ton, and his draft capital, he was drafted second overall. So that team is still going to put a lot of investment in him. He's also recovering back from ACL injury. I think this is potentially a buy low point if you feel like you can get a top 5 running back without paying top 5 price. So number 4, Saquon Barkley. And number 5 is probably the biggest surprise of a lot of people. And there's a couple reasons for it, but it's going to be Nick Chubb. And one is the system he is. Kevin Stefanski is from Minnesota. And so he comes in with a run-first style. And I think Cleveland does really well with the run-first style. And some people might be like, well, Derrick Henry is the run-first style and is getting 2,000 yards rushing. That is true, but when we look at ages too, they're about a year and a half apart. Nick Chubb is the best runner in the NFL. And I know that can be argued by some people, but if you look at all the analytics of him, I mean, he's even the Pro Football Focus's number 1 runner the last 2 years. You look at all these different stats of yards per carry that you're supposed to get, or yards per closed holes, no holes, whatever it is for running. It seems like Chubb is number 1 in literally every category. It's always fun seeing those things, and you're like, oh, look at all these good running backs. And it's always just Chubb at the top. Yes, Kareem Hunt will still be kind of a pest in the side, but you can even see in the playoff game, Chubb was the key, and Kareem Hunt just came in there and did some of these touchdown stealing plays and does get some of the pass receptions because he is a better pass catching back. But Chubb for a safety safe line for the next 3-4 years, I think that's why he's my number 5. He had 1,067 yards in 12 games. I mean, yeah, you post that out, he's probably looking at another 1,400-yard season like last year, and he averages 5.2 yards a carry. He has an exceptional average. So when he runs for, or he gets usually close to 20 touches, you're talking about a 100-yard minimum baseline, and with that offense, potentially 100 yards and a touchdown, which is pretty much getting closer to the Cook and Kamara side of things when it comes to fantasy. Running backs that were close but not in this is Derrick Henry. He's absolutely amazing, especially the last couple of years, but he is getting up there. He's going to be 27 and a half years old. And then we talk about other running backs, like what do we do with Jonathan Taylor? Jonathan Taylor has a small sample size, could easily move into the top 5 here. There's a couple other running backs, depending on how they do, could move up into this range. And so these are my top 5 for now. That definitely, I mean, if we talk about Kamara, if Brees magically comes back, I think Kamara does potentially slightly jump over Cook, but these are the top 5 for now. Let me know if you have anybody that I didn't talk about. I mean, my top 7 is pretty much Henry and Jonathan Taylor afterwards. So if anybody I didn't mention in the top 7 there, I know there might be some Aaron Jones truthers and stuff like that. We don't know his future team, if it's going to be Green Bay. If it was Green Bay, he'd have an argument. So there might be some other arguments with that. So if there is, please comment in here and also comment your number. But this is the Fantasy Dynasty Dads channel. Please subscribe. Make sure you hit the alerts button so then you can get daily content. And so then we can start growing this channing and helping each other out with Dynasty Fantasy Football. All right, take care. Peace out, guys.